Welcome back to the channel. Thanks very much for the support that we've been receiving lately. It's been really appreciated, and hopefully we can continue to grow. So as you can see from the thumbnail today, we are about to change the oil on the car. So let's dive straight on into it. So just to orientate you where things are and what you'll need to do. So on the top of the engine, you'll need to remove this cover, and you simply lift it up here and then pull it back out of those two retaining lugs there that clip into these sort of the two pins that you can see there in the picture. Set that off to one side. So you've got your oil filler cap just here. Does what it says on the tin. Cord for turn, it will click off. We'll just leave that there for the moment. And then just in here, and I'll show you how to get to this in a minute, is how you remove that's where the oil filter housing is, and we'll need to remove this little bit of air box to do that. And then just diving down under the car. So this is the trickiest bit, is you will need to remove all of the under trays, and I'll show you where the screws are for that in a minute. And then crawling under the car right behind up here, okay, you can see, zoom back a bit, you've got the steering rack arm there, thing with the barcode on it, and then you've got the back of the subframe, and then you've got this plastic honeycomb box, and that's actually the bottom of the oil pan. And just there you can see a screw plug, and that's the drain plug. So you do need to remove the furthest two, the middle and the rear back under tray. You can leave this front one in place. Now if I spin around here, I've laid them out on the car, so I'm stood at the front of I'm kneeling at the front of the car here, and you just need to work your way around and remove this front tray first. Okay, this one, as you can see, I think was it 2 for about 8 bolts, I think. And I would advise that these two in the front here are the last two that you remove, because that hold it nicely in place, noting that the back ones also hold this rear tray in place that's under the gearbox and everything. And you know, this is roughly where the oil pan is, just so you can align yourself to the car. So you take this one out, you don't need to remove the front one, and what you'll need to do is just push it back slightly, drop it down and pull it out, and then it'll come out from the car. And then you work your way around doing this one. Again, just the bolts around the edge, couple of the back, couple on the sides, and it'll drop off. What I suggest you do is, once you've done one side, put a little brick or something underneath it to support it, and then you can do the other side, and it'll take the weight. Otherwise you'd be trying to fight the under train. There's enough weight on there, it makes it really difficult to unscrew. So you need to take both those out, and the way I've achieved that is I've got the front two wheels up on blocks, the air suspension is on its highest, I'm lucky I can do that, and then I've just got a jack under there giving me a bit more height. With off camera you can see an axle stand that's just covering it, but you can get enough access under the car to do that. My advice would be, do that before you drain the oil, warm the engine up to go and drain the oil, because you've got the main exhaust runs under the back there, which is clearly quite heavy. So you can do that, don't burn yourself, and then you can put the tray back on once everything's cooled down after you've done the oil change, check for leaks and stuff. So let's get on with the top part up here of removing the oil filter. So first off, we're going to remove the oil filter. Now you'll have seen on previous videos about replacing the air filter, which is under here. It starts off in the very same way. What you need to do is, there's two clips that just release to free off. There's one here, one on the other side, okay, to free off this housing, and you just stick that over to one side. Just tuck it down beneath some, out of the way, hopefully. That'll do, like that. And then, blocking the camera. So, and then in here, that gives you enough access here to the housing for the oil filter. So I've just removed the filter housing, as you saw a second ago. Yes, I know the clip's broken. Thank you, Mercedes, for being heavy-handed. And I'm just going to unscrew the filter housing. Now this is a 27mm housing, and it's one of the cartridge type filters. So this should, only a few screws, that'll come out, and then it's just free to pull up. So I'm just going to leave it resting on the top so the air can get in, And I'm going to take this housing off, and then we're going to dive down under the car and undo the drain plug at the bottom. So as I showed you from the first bit, there is the drain plug, and you need a really large screwdriver or something flat to go in there and turn it. And you need to make sure you've got quite a decent sized pan, not just because it takes 6 litres, but because when it comes out, of course, it's going to a side, it's not dropping down vertically like a lot of cars do. So therefore you need to make sure you've got quite a long pan, or ideally, you know, you're holding it up under there so you can gauge exactly where the liquid's coming out and how far it's spraying. So because of where it is and how awkward it is, I'm just going to undo that now. I'm going to come back to you when the oil is draining. A part of that is what I will do is I'll unplug it. Clearly at the moment the car is sloping the wrong way, and that can't be helped because I need the access to undo it. So what I shall do is undo the plug. Once most of it is out, is lower the car on this side so that the wheel that my hand is to, where I'm pointing the torch at the moment, will be resting on the ground. So that'll be a couple of inches lower than the other side, and then that should hopefully get all the oil to drain out. And I'll come back to you when that's done. So I apologise if the angle's really bad. It's really hard to get access under here. This is clearly a job, despite the simplicity of it, that, you know, actually tests the amount of simple job that you can actually do under the car. So I've got the rest of the oil draining there. I've got a square pan, it takes 10 litres, and I turned it sort of so that it's at 45 degrees rather than in line with the car to maximise the width. And I had a little brick there that when we started, I had the pan resting on that to make sure that it was high enough to capture all the oil as it splurged out. Now you can reasonably well control the drain plug, so you can control the flow to a certain extent, but once it gets going, it's a good strong flow that comes out. So I'm just going to let that drain away, and then I'm going to come up to the top of the car. I'm going to remove the old filter, and then I'll just show you what that looks like in a second. So as we saw a moment ago, I've already undone this, so I'm just going to pull this up. There's plenty of access, it's okay, and actually because it's been draining now and we opened it up a moment ago, there's virtually no oil coming out the bottom. But I've got a plastic bag here, I'm just going to put that into. That'll capture that, and then as you can see on the video here, what we do is we just disengage. There's like a little click stop at the bottom, like there is on all these filters. Just set that off to one side. You can then leave it in this bag for disposal, so we're not touching it again. Good to have a little look in there, see if you can see any bits and pieces, bits of metal or anything, but actually all I'm seeing is just dirty oil, which is good. So I'm going to wrap that up, set that off to one side, and then I've got the new filter here. So we've got a Hengst filter. That's the part number. So this is actually the original brand for the car. But as ever, when it manages to come in a Mercedes box, then you can triple the price. Now, let me just find that oil seal ring that fell to the bottom there, and we'll start this video again. So there you go, just to prove these things happen. So I've got the sealing ring here now, okay, and we've got the filter. So the filter goes in with this bit points downwards. And then what you'll need to do is just here you can see the sealing ring. You need to get a small screwdriver, prise that off, and then put the new one on. So let me do that, and then I will come back to you. Right, so I've just cut the old seal off. It was a bit tight on there. And to work this on, you just put it on, and it's reasonably stretchy. It'll click in place. If it doesn't, just roll it down. Give it a quick turn around to make sure there's nothing, it's not caught anywhere. Then you take your new filter. Now when you look inside the housing, you will see just on the 12 o'clock position there is a socket for this to clip into. So set that into the hole. It doesn't click, just so you know. And then just screw the filter housing back in. And tighten that up. Now it says 25 Newton meters on the top of it. I would say just do it You'll feel when it stops moving. Like that's not going to move any further. That's enough. It's not going to go anywhere. And then we just clip this housing on, making sure that these two tubes go into there. Last time this came back from Mercedes having been serviced, then one of them wasn't quite in, and you could feel the difference on the engine there. I can't quite explain it, but it was just missing some power and using more fuel for obvious reasons because it was getting too much air. So you kind of clip those on. You can feel with your hands where it's going and then just clip that in, and that's done. So I'm going to have a look under the car now, see if all that's finished draining. If it hasn't, I'm going to treat myself to a cup of tea, and then we're going to fill it back up with oil and check for leaks. So we've buttoned everything up underneath. I've taken both the blocks out so the car is now level. So it's just time to add some oil. Now this stuff I bought in France, mainly on cost because oil in Germany is ridiculously expensive. What you need to look for this car is 22951 or 22952. That's the spec for the car, so that will go absolutely fine. So the capacity is 6 litres, so I shall pour in 5. See where it says on the level, because of course in theory not everything comes back out that you put in, so we'll see. And then we'll check that off. In case you're wondering why I'm not using the funnel that you can see in shot, is if you look in the oil filler cap, there's actually there's a really tiny slit for the oil to go into, probably to stop stuff dropping into the engine, I would guess. So unfortunately I've had to guess it. Clearly I've got my rag there to capture any spillage, and we'll see where we get to. So let me top this off and then I'll come back to you. So there we are, we've changed the oil, I've checked the levels, put everything back, topped it up slightly. So let's just see, we can check inside. Obviously there's no dipstick, so we need to use the you can see what I'm doing now. We're in the trip menu, so got 2 ways of doing this. We can scroll to the service menu, scroll down, oh, temperature, wrong one, engine oil, switch the ignition on, and a moment ago it said it's just on the min. So I'll switch the ignition back off, but I'm going to do this another way because this should give us a slightly better reading. So as you remember in the brake replacement video, okay, so you need to press the home button, 1, 2, 3. Oh. Better switch the ignition on. Let's get this back to trip. So we're going to press the home button, 1, 2, and then press the tab, and then we get this service menu. If we stay on vehicle data and then we go up 2, you can see maximum oil level at 0.7. If I switch this on, I think a moment ago it said 5.3. Now I wonder if this only works with the engine running. Let's just try that. But there it says oil level 5.7. So I'll give it a couple of days to settle down and then see where it gets to, but clearly we've got enough in there at the moment. I think I put in about 5.3, so yeah, it's fine where it is. I hope you found the video useful as ever. If you like it, please subscribe. Even just watching the regular content by subscription really helps me. So, and I know a lot of people watch the video, but very few in proportion seem to subscribe. All I ask is if you enjoy it, please show your appreciation by subscribing. It helps me grow the channel and helps me hopefully bring you more great content. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.